It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, if you look on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board, you'll see a couple of logos. The logo for Amazon, the logo for TD Synnex. Between those logos, I'm asking a question. Will Amazon make TD Synnex irrelevant? I'm answering that question. I believe they will. The world has changed so drastically. The way end users consume technology has changed so drastically. The way resellers get that technology to end users has changed so drastically. Years ago, a company called Tech Data, years ago, a company called Synnex built distribution centers about logistics and getting products to resellers so those resellers could get those products to end users. Tech Data and Synnex came together as TD Synnex. TD Synnex is about what? It's about distribution centers. It's about getting products to resellers so resellers can get those products to end users. But ladies and gentlemen, over the last couple of quarters, I've been sharing my thoughts regarding TD Synnex's financials. And I've been sharing my thoughts regarding TD Synnex. More and more of their deliverable is not about distribution from warehouses and logistics from warehouses. More and more of their deliverable is about that intersection between the digital and physical world. And I have to ask you all a question. Is Amazon in position to do everything that TD Synnex does, but better? And the answer has to be yes, they are. AWS is a massive cloud infrastructure business. It's the biggest in the world. And its growth is phenomenal. Its operating income is phenomenal. We all know that technology products are becoming more and more of a commodity every day. The physical products we touch are the commodity. The value on those products is determined in the intersection between the digital and physical world. It's determined in that experience in the intersection. And ladies and gentlemen, who's positioned better in that intersection than Amazon and AWS? And so today I want to share some thoughts on why I believe Amazon and AWS could definitely wipe TD Synnex right off the map. Let's start with 2023's numbers. Amazon's revenue in 2023 for the whole company was $574.8 billion. They had a 6.4% operating income. What was AWS's portion of that $574.8 billion? Ladies and gentlemen, it was $90.8 billion. But listen to this number. 27.1% operating income. Folks, I've been talking about a whole lot of technology companies' operating incomes for a long time now. Have you ever heard me say that somebody had an operating income of 27.1% on $90.8 billion in revenue? No. You know, it's not just me, and I got it from Orlando Bravo. It'll be those companies that understand the importance of profitability that'll win in our ever-changing times, especially in the technology sector. Let's look at TD Synnex's numbers for FY 2023. Top line revenue was $57.5 billion. They had an operating income of $1.1 billion, or 1.9%. 1.9%. You know, over the last year or so, as I share TD Synnex's numbers, I have concern about this inability to get above 2% in operating income. And they can't. And I believe the reason they can't is because technology is being consumed by end users way different than it was 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. Technology is being delivered to end users way different than it was 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. And I don't believe that TD Synnex has the infrastructure and the capabilities to deliver based on the world we're in today, the market realities. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this slide. You see those blue lines? That represents AWS's growth over the last 10 years. This is amazing stuff, ladies and gentlemen. In 2013, AWS did $3.1 billion in total revenue. In 2023, $90.8 billion. I mean, folks, from 22 to 23, they grew by $10 billion. This is what you really describe as solid revenue growth. It doesn't get any more solid than that. That is phenomenal. A company with this kind of growth, a company this big, isn't it positioned to kind of really cause havoc to the world's largest distributor in technology they claim they are? A company called TD Synnex? Let's look at TD Synnex. When I shared the FY ending 2023 for TD Synnex, I had some concerns that their revenue dropped by $4.6 billion from 2022. And folks, when you look at where they are right now, 9 months in, they're lucky to be flat, but I believe they're going to decline from the 2023 number. In the TD Synnex financial is where I got this solid year-over-year growth. And I crossed through the word solid and I put temporary. And I did that because I believe that TD Synnex got a little bit excited when they had growth from the year 2020 through 2022. And we all know that times were a little bit weird back then, right? The global pandemic, okay? And I think a lot of folks that had some growth during that global pandemic didn't really analyze why they were growing. And they forgot to look at the threats that would come after the pandemic ended. And I believe folks like Amazon and AWS, they really weren't concerned about what was going on right now. They were concerned about having a momentum of constant growth after the pandemic. But here we are. We're in the third quarter for TD Synnex. 9 months in, their revenue is $42.6 billion. It's actually down 1.4% from where they were 9 months of 2023. And I know when you look at the financial news, they'll say that TD Synnex, year-over-year growth. It's because they talk about quarter-over-quarter. When you're 9 months in, we should be talking about 9 months to 9 months because they're going to come in flat or decline. Why are they declining? Well, our friends over at AWS have had massive expansion growth. I thought this was kind of humorous. I underlined it, but let me just read this to you. Ranked number 2 on LinkedIn top company list and number 1 in the technology sector. And this is Amazon as they're sharing some of the great things that happened over the quarter, like all companies do. But think about it, ladies and gentlemen. LinkedIn, that's where everybody that works lives, right? I mean, that's where all the resellers go. That's their social media platform for all the resellers and all the customers the resellers sell to. And as far as the world's concerned, around work, well, they see Amazon as number 1 in the technology sector. They're already there in the minds of the buyers and the resellers. I've shared this before. Let me just ask the question, what could Amazon do better than TD Synnex? This is the pie chart breaking down the revenue percentages at TD Synnex. Ladies and gentlemen, 20% of TD Synnex's revenue comes from software. I'm thinking AWS could do that better. Servers and storage, I'm thinking AWS and Amazon could do it better. Folks, PCs, I think Amazon could deliver PCs better than anybody. After all, aren't they the best distributor of products in the world? Don't they have the most distribution centers? Don't they have the money and the profitability to invest the most money in how distribution centers will be automized? How AI will be involved? How robots will be involved? Well, they're already doing it at Amazon. So won't they in fact be able to deliver the product to the end user or the reseller better than TD Synnex and cheaper than TD Synnex? Of course they will. Of course they will. Ladies and gentlemen, in the 10Q at TD Synnex, they have to discuss the customers that give them more than 10% of their revenue. They have 3 customers that give them more than 10% of their revenue. Some quarters they don't quite hit the 10%. Some quarters they go over the 10%. But there's 3 main customers, Apple, Cisco Systems, and HP. I got to ask the question, if Apple, Cisco, and HP left TD Synnex, what would happen to TD Synnex? And I'm not saying that HP is going to call up TD Synnex tomorrow and say, hey, we're leaving you. But what if they decide that they're going to take some of that business and get it to the end user in a different way through our friends at Amazon? Ladies and gentlemen, these are serious implications that could affect the going concern ability of our friends at TD Synnex when you have 3 customers that represent more than 10% of your business. I wanted to look a little bit deeper at their financials. Their asset to equity ratio at TD Synnex is 28, meaning 72% of the assets are encumbered. That's a big number, folks. That's a huge number. When you look at their percentage of assets that are goodwill and intangible, it's 30%. As I said at the end of FY 2023, I would expect there could be an impairment charge coming to TD Synnex. You know, I've showed this slide before, and I tried to explain it to those friends of mine, but I got to tell you something. This is an important slide. Because TD Synnex is talking about well-positioned to benefit from the industry's evolution. And the industry of technology being delivered to end users through resellers is definitely evolving. And it will go to this orchestration ecosystem. And the orchestration ecosystem needs a conductor. Who could be a better conductor? Amazon and AWS or TD Synnex? Folks, you've got to really think hard about this. TD Synnex, a company that literally struggles to get above 2% in operating income. Amazon, $500 billion in revenue. AWS will soon be $100 billion company on its own. Could AWS conduct the SaaS world? Of course they could. How would they align with strategic partners to do it? I assure you, they're in the boardroom at Amazon and AWS discussing just that. The world of technology has changed so much since tech data started, since Synnex started. And I do believe that when Synnex and TD and Tech Data came together to form TD Synnex, it was based on a different world. And I just don't believe they have enough profitability and they have enough discipline to compete with AWS and our friends at Amazon. They have the partners. They have the relationships. But those relationships that TD Synnex has with software providers, with AI accelerators, all these folks, is only because these folks want those products into the marketplace. Those folks, those software companies, those hardware companies, those OEMs, they don't necessarily care who gets it into the marketplace. And whoever can get more of it into the marketplace, well, those are going to be more important partners. TD Synnex, you've got some competition coming. Attention all technology resellers. The technology products one uses in the physical world are increasingly becoming commodities. The end user value will be determined in the digital world. The intersection between the digital and physical worlds is quickly transforming. It's transforming everything around us. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.